I'm Lee Kern, the Clinical Director of Structure House. I want to talk to you briefly about the principle of high-risk eating situations. That's when we recognize that certain situations may put your structure at risk, and then we develop strategies in order to keep your structure safe from that risk. Parents of toddlers do this all the time with their young children. A toddler can wander off into danger, so parents of toddlers will put up gates on the stairs and latches on the kitchen drawers in order to keep their child safe. The question is, how might this type of strategy apply to you and apply to your structure? And I'll give you an example of one of our participants. In a year's time, between a brief stay here at Structure House and almost all the rest of the time back home, he had lost 120 pounds, which was a spectacular weight loss. When he came back for a return visit, about a year after his first stay here, he told us that he had had almost all his meals in restaurants, which is not something we would recommend really to any participant. The reason for that strategy, he told us, was that he was respecting the principle of high-risk eating. He had decided that his structure would be at risk if he was keeping food in the cabinets and in the refrigerator. So he came up with this plan to have almost all his meals in restaurants. He did his restaurant eating very thoughtfully and very carefully. In the neighborhood in which he lived, there were a number of restaurants that he was familiar with. So he decided to identify what he called safe meals for all those restaurants. Each safe meal he wrote down on a 3x5 card. And when he went to the restaurant, he took the 3x5 card and ordered that way, rather than looking at the menus. So this overall plan of keeping his apartment free of food temptations and having a very thoughtful way to eat in restaurants worked extremely well for him. And as I said, in a year, he lost 120 pounds. That strategy won't necessarily apply to everybody else or anybody else. Understanding high-risk situations needs to be very personalized, and you need to think of how you would apply this to you. For some people, eating in restaurants less is a better program, and eating more at home, meals that they cook for themselves, is going to work the best. So in the end, success with structure and weight control will be a combination of two strategies. One is avoid high-risk situations. Recognize what they are and be willing to avoid them. The second is that you'll go into some situations knowing they're risky, but you need to go in with a plan. So number one, be prepared to do some avoiding, and number two, be sure you have a plan.